So UConn is the last institution to present, and Arta and I have been working on this together, so we're both going to do pieces of it. Get my glasses on. So Arta has worked in the library technical services area for 35 years. She's been the collection management librarian at the University of Connecticut Health Center for 22 years. Prior to that, she was in technical services at SUNY Potsdam. She was at the Draper Lab in Cambridge, Massachusetts for Cornell, and she was at Dartmouth College. She holds a BA from SUNY Potsdam and an MLS from Simmons. Okay, we're just going to pass this off. Okay. All righty. And I already told you who I am. So here's this. All right, so this right hand advances. Okay, so we have an eScience team at UConn that actually started forming 2 years ago with the whole data management plan thing. I started pulling people together for that. It kind of morphed into the Institute, and now it's a formal team. The team is charged with promoting collaboration between university, research, and support entities on campus to provide best quality, best practice education and data support services. And to me, the collaboration part is a really important part of this. We have lots of skills in the library, but we don't have all of them, and we don't know enough on our own to tackle this. So, can you hand that out? So Arta has a copy of our team charge. I thought it might be useful for folks who haven't done this yet to just kind of see what we put together and how we're presenting it. We actually haven't formally been charged yet, but we've been functioning for a while, and we will be charged imminently by our leadership. At UConn, when a formal team is charged, we have to put together a description very much like what is being handed out. So I'm not really going to talk about the Institute process. Everyone else has already done that a fair amount. Across both campuses, we talked to 11 research faculty, 12 administrators, and other support personnel. And our basic question was, how can the university better support your digitally intensive research? And so a lot of the answers, we weren't library focused in what we asked, and a lot of what we got back really wasn't about the library, it was about the bigger question.
The Institute had limited the core learning teams to 3 members only, and because we wanted to involve as many librarians as possible and other people as much as possible, and Canvas, also the learning management system, didn't allow more than 3 people to be in it, we decided that to create a live guide so that we could bring a lot more people along with the learning process than just the 3 of us who were on the team. The Stowe's campus, which is the main campus, started with the NSF mandate, doing a lot more of these processes than the health center had. The health center campus, which houses the medical school, the dental school of the university, is located 35 miles away from the main campus at Stowe's. And so I've been also working as the liaison between the 2 campuses as we're working these processes together. The health center actually started later than the Stowe's campus did. We actually didn't start until the Institute actually started, and our learning processes went along those lines. This is a free and open live guide. You can go ahead and get into it by just going up to the health center's library and looking for subject guides, and you'll find it. As we started going through the Institute, and we were asked to look for potential partners while we were doing this, we realized that we were at the cusp of something very, very timely coming into this Institute. UConn is undergoing tremendous changes at the moment. We have had something called the Bioscience Connecticut being launched. We are going to be increasing research capacity and productivity. We're going to be increasing the number of basic and clinical and translational scientists by 300 over the next 3 or 4 years. We also will be expanding incubator facilities to foster new business startups. Some of our potential partners that we've identified as while going through the Institute is CCATS, which is our Connecticut Institute for Clinical and Translational Science. We are not yet a national institute for translational science. We keep hoping that the next grant we will become one, but we're working towards that. But this CCATS is also a joint effort between the 2 campuses. It's not just the health center. In 2011, the UConn Health Center did manage to get and establish a high-performance computing facility. We have 1 HPC at the moment. This HPC was purchased for the CCAM researchers. We have on campus at the health center the Center for Cell Analysis and Modeling, which is a branch, an active branch of NIH. And they needed for their genomic data, they needed to have an HPC, and so they have moved along with that. And here the library comes in with the institute, which is very timely. We are hoping, but what has happened with the HPC at this moment is the director is not going to be providing user training or configuration for the data. It's merely a storage facility. And that's where the library hopes to step in. We are going to be working with BCAT, who is up at the Stores campus. BCAT is the Booth Engineering Center for Advanced Technology. The director of BCAT actually was the 3rd member of our team. Carolyn was the 1st member, and I was, and then the director, Raj, as he's like to be known by, is the director. And he and his scientists at BCAT want to collaborate with our CCAM scientists down at the health center, and also with the health center's research informatics team, to be able to create a software layer for library services and data curation, preservation, and sharing as all of this stuff starts literally exploding on top of us. And then I'm sure that you have all heard that the health center, UConn and the health center in particular, is going to be collaborating with the Jackson Laboratory of Maine. They are actually going to be building this building that's up on the screen on the health center campus. Ground has just been broken within this last month. They are expecting that the building is going to be finished by 2014. That will be bringing an additional 300 to 400 genome scientists coming into the health center. And with all of that genomics data, we stand at the cusp of helping all these collaborators and all of these scientists with their data storage and their data curation and preservation. Some of the planned services after going through the Institute, we are looking at data management best practices instruction. This is going to be ongoing at both campuses, and we have been working with, at the Stores campus, the UITS and OSP, Office of Sponsored Programs, and library staff, and at the health center, our OSP office, as well as our IT and research informatics. We are doing planning over the summer of 2012. We are well into that planning. We're planning for workshops and brown bags at both campuses, and they'll basically be introductory workshops. We are looking at something that UMass Medical School has been developing, the frameworks for the data management curriculum. We are hoping to be able to implement that entire curriculum once it's finished, in order to complement and move forward our introductory workshops and brown bags. We also have been looking at, as a team, the DMP online tool that was developed at the CDL, the California Digital Library. We are currently, this is a joint effort between both campuses, part of our Institute team. We are preparing language to bring in our own instance of the DMP tool, not just use the CDL version. And our purchasing and accounts payable people are working very hard towards the negotiations to bringing shibboleth and in common in so that we can provide this for our researchers. So one other thing that the team has been working on is a research data survey. We have borrowed heavily from Georgia Tech. This was the article that was published in College and Research Library News in January of 2012. We are hoping, once we've put the survey out, we are hoping we're going to be able to answer questions of data use and characteristics and management, and then provide for support services for those needs that are identified.
Yeah, the survey is going out to 643 funded faculty at stores, at the main campus, and then more than 200 folks at the health center also. And if we were hoping to get the survey out this past week, but then we discovered through a variety of paths that UITS, which is our university IT, centralized IT system, they were putting their own survey out about data to researchers, and the director of our library and the director of UITS said, wait a minute. And so we just were talking with them earlier this week, and we put together a kind of a more unified approach where both surveys are going out but under one cover. UITS is asking researchers about paid, establishing like a pay for storage service, which is also an interesting development. So once we get the results back on the survey, we're planning to work in two areas. Already talked about the one on the right, the best practice instruction. One thing with the best practice instruction that I wanted to add is we will start out with general workshops, but we very much want to tailor them down the road when we kind of know a little more what we're doing to specific broad disciplines. So best practices for physical science, best practices for social science, and we want to talk with the decentralized IT support staff working in the schools and departments and with faculty to find out what are the particularly important characteristics of data in their disciplines and what are the issues that particularly need to be addressed. And then in addition, we want to look at data management services for the researchers themselves. This is kind of a more nebulous thing. We're just feeling our way. We're looking at both a short-term active data storage and services facility, well, not facility, software, and the more longer-term passive data storage. We will later this summer be going to Harvard to talk to the creators of Dataverse. I've seen them at several events, and our own, what's the name of our, Valerie, what's the name of the Roper Center? Their name went out of my head. The Roper Center is based at UConn, and the Roper Center uses a piece of Dataverse in their own information. We talked with them earlier this summer. We want to investigate if this is a possible, it's open source application to see if it's something to kind of investigate how it works and get a handle on it, because we like the way that they're presenting it, that it combines a lot of ability for a researcher to have control over how their data is accessed and particular information about how their data is presented, but it centralizes a lot of the support services. It's a completely voluntary system, and it has the ability to let data be analyzed and manipulated while it's in there. It should work with most formats, and it does include a data citing component, which would be useful when the data is finished and more stable. We don't know if this will work. It's really kind of a best guess, and if it turns out after we talk with Harvard that it will work for us, then we will start trying to pilot with particular researchers. This is set up actually for social sciences. That's what it's primarily been used for, although Harvard's starting to use it in their astronomy library. In the survey that Arta mentioned, one of the questions at the end asks if faculty would be interested in working with us in a pilot type situation. So hopefully we will have self-identified people who are interested in working with us, and then we'll be able to contact at least some in the social sciences and start playing with this. And in a related but not, there's a group at UConn at the libraries that is working on a 2G trusted digital repository. It's not the eScience team. It's a separate group that started in the last year, led by Greg Colati. And they're anticipating, or they're not just anticipating, they're putting together a digital repository based on Fedora. It will serve as a long-term home for data of all different kinds, including research data. It is intended for data that is relatively stable. The manipulation is finished, new things aren't being added, it's not being actively used. It's a long-term passive location. And this is the way that Greg presents it. There's the repository preservation layer, which is pretty stable and centralized, and then there's different service layers which can be customized to particular researchers' needs. They are only in stage 1 now, where they're working on the actual establishment of the repository. By next spring, they anticipate being in phase 3, and at that point, they will be ready for active work with early adopter pilots. And so we'll hopefully have some people from a variety of disciplines to work with them. So that's really where we are. And it's a very interesting time to be involved. It's a very kind of a seat of the pants direction. If you require detailed planning and a set and determined outcome, this is not the area for you to be working in. It's really kind of like a wild west, wide open kind of setting. But that's what we've got. And